Oh, hello, Claire.
Hi, it was a quick turnaround, that one.
Yes, Kerstin is also waiting.
Oh, here we go.
Kerstin?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. We're on.
Yep.
Okay, we have 1 minute to go.
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to let me in for rehearsal, but I assume we're just good to go.
Yeah, we're live now.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, and I see people are joining. Welcome, everyone. We are in day 2 of Coffee 2021, and we're just about to start our social networking event with Adelaide Festival Centre and Kerstin Edhart, which is the Director of Marketing, Sales and Audience Engagement. I recognize that many people are still on the previous session, so I will go a little bit slow to allow more people to log in. Just some housekeeping stuff. We will first go through a presentation that Kerstin Edhart has kindly prepared for us. I will then allow for about 15 minutes question and answer session with anything that you would like to ask Kerstin. And then we are very lucky and honored to have Kerstin doing a curated presentation of online events that they have brought together by Adelaide Festival Centre to finish up our day. I see we do have many more participants now, so I will take the opportunity to present who are our distinguished speakers and organization for today. Adelaide Festival Centre, it was actually established back in 1973, and it is the Australia's first capital city arts venue. It runs and owns theatres, Festival Theatre, Dunstan Playhouse, Space Theatre, and it also manages an Her Majesty Theatre, which has been very recently renovated and reopened, and it nowadays represents a world-class proscenium theatre, that it has actually redefined the theatre-going experience. Adelaide Festival Centre, it presents various events, including theatre, dance, music exhibitions, as well as diverse festivals that they inspire, challenge, and educate and entertain global audiences. We have here with us Kerstin Edhart, who is the Director of Marketing, Sales and Audience Engagement. In her role, she's actually responsible for managing various audience touch points, including ticketing, marketing, publicity, digital CRM, and patron services. As everyone else, the Adelaide Festival Centre has been seriously impacted due to COVID-19. The organization had to respond quickly and address urgent needs like mass cancellations and refunds of events and tickets, but they never stop engaging with the audience to build future loyalty, but also entertain and educate us during these difficult times. Adelaide Festival Centre, they have implemented an online event during the 2021. They have basically digitized and virtualized Adelaide Cabaret Festival, a festival that is legendary and icon for Adelaide, which was called the Bite Size. Adelaide Festival Centre reopened in September 2020. It was one of the first large indoor venues to reopen and offer live performances, of course, within the safety and health regulations and constraints or regulations. So by all means, I would like to give the floor to Kerstin, and I'm looking forward to hear her insights and then have an interactive Q&A with her. If we can have the interview video, that will be nice.
Just checking that's been loaded from your end, Mariana.
Claire is going to play that.
Great.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I don't have that.
Oh, okay. I had communications before that somebody was going to play it from you. I'll try to play it on my end.
I'm not sure how everybody else is receiving that, Mariana, but it's not really working on my machine.
So I guess the audio is not playing.
I've got it now, so I'll try to share it from mine.
Yes, please, Claire. Yes.
Hello everybody, my name is Kristen Eckhart. I'm the Director of Marketing, Sales and Audience Engagement for the Adelaide Festival Centre. So I've been asked today to talk about festivals in the time of COVID-19. And I'm going to particularly talk about the role of marketing and how we approached the pivot towards an online festival for the Adelaide Cabaret Festival in 2020. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen so I can go through a couple of slides, really just to give everybody a bit of a sense of how we tackled it. So that's me and that's my topic. So let's firstly start with a normal year. So in a normal year, the Adelaide Cabaret Festival is one of the biggest and we like to think one of the best cabaret festivals in the world. In 2020, we were turning 20 years old, so quite a major anniversary for the festivals and the team. Now, Julia Zamiro, for anybody not based in Australia, she was our artistic director. It was her last year in 2020, and Julia is quite a well-known broadcast celebrity in Australia. We had expected, and certainly Julia had programmed some big names and great event experiences for new audiences and cabaret loyalists. Her approach in 2020 was a juxtaposition between traditional cabaret and pushing the boundaries. And we had planned many Adelaide exclusives and premieres and some really big names. Then, of course, this happened in 2020, which we're all very familiar with. So on the 24th of March, we announced that the Cabaret Festival, as everybody knew it, couldn't proceed. Tickets had actually already been sold in a first release, which released some headliners. We'd had really great sales, so we were extremely disappointed to have to forego all of those excellent sales. And of course, in the marketing team, we'd sent a 60+ page brochure to print. Pretty devastating stuff. So what to do? As a team, we panicked at first, but then quite quickly we went online, like many of you did, I'm sure. So we decided to call our online festival Bite-Sized and Home Delivered. And again, for Australian audiences, that was really a play on our artistic director's background as a TV host of a very popular program called Home Delivery. So we were really able to leverage from Julia's brand exposure in, I guess, a broadcast or an online environment by naming our cabaret and our online festival Bite-Sized and Home Delivered. So we already knew that quite quickly many organisations had pivoted to online, and we knew that many platforms were already being saturated with long-form content. We decided, and really through, I guess, lack of ability through our own website to really give a great showing to long-form content, we decided to deliver our content through social media platforms. And the advantage of doing that was we were able to go to where audiences were already dwelling, but we did know that social media audiences had pretty short attention spans. So we decided that our clips would be short and to the point, but still highly entertaining. And as we'd already engaged many artists already for a live experience, we decided to ask them to use their creativity whilst in isolation and while at home. So keeping within the cabaret theme, we set them a provocation to respond to the lyrics from Life is a Cabaret of what good is sitting alone in your room. So before I show some examples of how our artists perform to that provocation, I might just talk about how we managed that pretty quick pivot to online. So while our staff didn't need to retrain specifically, programming in an online environment, of course, is very different to a live experience. So our programming team did need careful curation and consultation with the artists who wouldn't have necessarily been used to presenting in an online environment. From a marketing perspective, we felt pretty under-resourced in the sense that we weren't used to, certainly we had no in-house film crew, we weren't used to live streaming, but we were used to providing artists with tips and tricks for presenting their materials in an online environment, because we were used to that in terms of content creation for social media channels. So we use those skills to provide a bit of a how-to guide to our artists to produce some online social media content from home. And of course, as I've already referred to, our artistic director at the time already had a fair amount of broadcast experience in an online environment. So she already knew how to engage with the camera and really engage audiences through the way she spoke to them and introduced our artists across the course of the online festival. Now, our results for the online festival varied. As you can imagine, we had lots of different artists presenting work that was humorous, work that was serious, and I guess what was most important and entertaining for our audiences was that every artist presented something different. And I'm just going to give a bit of a sneak peek to what a couple of our artists, Becky Cole and Libby O'Donovan, presented to the Life as a Cabaret provocation. And I've just left the website there if anybody wishes to see the full length of the video or all the clips. I might just leave it there because it does tend to get a little bit saucy, but as I said, I encourage everybody to go and watch the entire festival online, which is still available on the Cabaret website. So, of course, certainly from a marketing perspective, for any live performance or any festival, we're going to set ourselves a set of objectives. And really moving to online didn't change that fact. We just had to look at what we wanted to achieve out of this online festival. So of course it was very important for us to increase our engagement across our social media channels, considering that's where we were delivering our content. And as you can see, we had a lot of great success in that area as well. We wanted to, I guess, knowing that we didn't know how long we would be in lockdown for, how much longer would we need to be presenting online festivals? So therefore, it was important for us to continue to grow our social media audience, because this may not be the last festival that we've had to present in this way. So as you can see, we had a lot of great success pretty much exceeded our KPIs of 2% increase across all social media platforms with the exception of Twitter, where we got a 1.3% growth. And we really put that down to the fact that Twitter isn't overly successful in terms of presenting video content. Another objective, of course, certainly from any live experience, we want to have a high amount of people coming from interstate and even internationally. But there is a limit, being all the way in Adelaide in Australia, that we're not necessarily able to grow those international audiences, whereas an online environment, it gave us a really great opportunity. So we had excellent success in this particular objective, and a lot of that was down to the fact that we were announcing a very high-profile incoming artistic director in Alan Cummings. So Alan, of course, has his own social media profile, which really we were able to leverage off and get those international audiences tuning in. Another goal was to facilitate some audience interaction and dialogue. From a marketing perspective, we had some success in this area, really by making sure that we were very responsive to any kind of online commentary around our artists' performances, answering any questions that our audiences may have had. I will talk a little bit more about where we felt we had less success in the learning section further on. So here we are, what we learned. Very disappointingly, we found that the average time that people watched our clips was only 12 seconds. And I guess when you think about the platform that we were presenting on, which was Facebook essentially, people's attention spans are quite low. We did find, however, that people did rewatch clips after the live experience, so that was a bit more encouraging. And when after this particular festival was over, we experimented with a bit more long-form content. We did find that it was very important when experimenting with long-form content that we exhibit really high production values. So really invest in good quality video, good quality audio if you want to keep your audience's attention. For the shorter form content, of course, this is something that we've known in the marketing team for a long time. It's very important that you do tailor your content to your platform. And that can be as simple as making sure that you have square format content for Facebook, and really utilize behind the scenes for Instagram, for example. Very simple rules which go a long way to engage audiences. We did find that asking audiences to use hashtags and really supply their own content didn't really meet with a lot of success, but I will, towards the end, speak to how we might be able to improve that in a programming sense in the future. What we've already found is that for our 2021 festival, so this year's festival, which is led by our artistic director, Alan Cummings, at this stage, we are looking to be able to present that particular festival to 75% of the live audience capacity. Our fingers and toes are crossed that that's going to be possible, but so far in South Australia, our COVID record is looking very encouraging. So we are very much moving towards a live experience, but we have learnt a lot from our online experience. So we're already asking our artists for this year to create some online content to really build excitement for the live experience. So I guess I'm going to just end by how this pivot to online has really changed what we're doing. So even though we're very, very fortunate in the sense that we're able to present an on-site live experience for our audiences for Cabaret Festival 2021, we cannot deny that COVID has really changed the way we make work and program work. And I was particularly struck by this particular quote from Variety magazine, and I've just put the link at the bottom of the screen there, which is the quote that all arts companies are media companies now. So really taking that on board, we're already adapting our future program with this in mind. So for our Dream Big Children's Festival, which is on the brink of being launched, we're already experimenting with what Variety magazine calls hybrid theatre. The ways in which we're doing that is we're taking our in real life events and we're building them for a cinema or an online audience. And of course, companies like the National Theatre have been doing this very, very well for many years. I guess what COVID has told us is that there's a lot of value in doing that, but with the added purpose perhaps of including some commentary by creatives on top of the in theatre, sorry, or in cinema or online experience. We're also dabbling in digital work, which has no live or in theatre experience. So during our brief period of lockdown, we worked with a particular company to present a children's and families experience called Mountain Goat Mountain, which really enabled parents who were perhaps at home and having to homeschool, for example, to provide artistic experiences for their children that was directed by artists, but it really enabled families to experience art and interact with art in their own homes. There is the other hybrid experience, which is a digital work which needs to be streamed in real time while it happens live somewhere else. So really, audiences are experiencing a particular work live while other audiences are experiencing it in digital environment. And that enables potential audience interaction as well. And there's just a couple of examples of shows where we're doing that hybrid theatre. And then there's really flipping the whole idea on its head by taking work that has been created purely in a digital environment and then adapting it to a live experience. So I guess there's really no doubt in reiterating this statement by Variety that COVID has fundamentally changed certainly how we market work from my team's perspective, but also how we're going to program work now and into the future.
I think there was something more from the video to watch.
It was basically just a thank you. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kristen. I have really enjoyed that. And I would like to open the floor to all participants to post their questions. I will be monitoring them in EventShare and in Zoom as well. I will start to warm up discussions, and I was really interested in the last thing that you were discussing about hybrid events, that there are many different definitions of them in terms of how they can happen. My question is in terms of how these hybrid events can be seen complementary or enriching or a substitute of the real experience in terms of cannibalizing the existing market, and what the impact of that might be in the events and festival industry as part of the visitor economy. Because at the moment, the reason or your impact or in relation to tourism is basically that you persuade people to come and attend events. If they are going to stay home, how would you justify subsidies or help or your role in the visitor economy through these hybrid events and what the implications might be?
That's a really big question, Mariana. I'll attempt to answer it. So I think, and this is a big question affecting all, certainly performing arts or live event venues and art makers. So how do we kind of justify our existence? I guess is maybe what you're asking if everything turns to online. Look, there is no doubt, as I said in my talk, that the world of theatre will change through COVID. That's just a reality that we all need to adapt to. but I really don't believe that it's going to make live theatre redundant. There is a certain experience, certainly from the audience perspective, that is unmatched through live theatre, but we just really need to, I guess it's like the invention of television that was going to be the end of families, whereas simply it's a change in technology, society will adapt accordingly. So I referred to the work that the National Theatre, for example, has been doing for many years in terms of filming their amazing productions and selling them through cinema distribution. They're highly popular, that display of work. So I definitely see an audience for both, but I don't see live theatre really dying anytime soon. It'll just simply adapt.
A very good friend and industry stakeholder actually told me that once an industry or a product evolves to a new version, the old version becomes even more important or valuable. And I think there is a point here. I mean, people are willing to pay an extra money for a vinyl, isn't it, music, or for an antique car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there something that you do as a, I don't know, art creator, designer, or provider to emphasize the distinctive characteristics or experiences that a live experience can bring?
I think from a marketing perspective, and it's really been a question that us marketers have been asking ourselves for a very long time. What makes, I guess, our product, and I don't like to use that word, but what makes what we're selling really different from selling anything else? And for all the marketers in the room, I think it was Opera Australia did a really great talk on selling the experience. So as much as, of course, the work needs to be brilliant, that's why people are buying tickets to see events, it's just as much about an amazing night out and socializing with friends. And if COVID has shown us anything, it's how much, not us in South Australia so much, but how much certainly people who have been in lockdown in Victoria, for example, how much they've really been missing that social connection, and live performance really enables that social connection. So certainly when we did shut down for a while, we started opening up with very small performances. They would sell out instantly. So whilst people still remain afraid of the chances of catching COVID, people are desperate to get back. So yeah, sorry, I don't know if I answered your question. I sort of forgot what it was now.
Another issue which actually you inspired me to ask, and I think I reflect many of our attendees today, because we are the majority representing educators in tourism or even in the event sector. I have heard from you, but from many other industry providers in our sector, that because of COVID and the virtualization of experiences they had to do, you have to become, as provider, also a media provider. Now, what does this mean from your point of view and what you have learned that you need as new skills to become media provider? Do you currently find these skills in the market? Is something that we as educators have to provide to the new graduates? What is this new skill data set, let's say, that it's necessary?
I guess, again, I'll just speak from my sort of marketing and publicity background. The media landscape is shrinking. So the way we're responding to that, and it very much speaks to that last slide around arts companies are media companies now. So because there's less ways, I guess, to broadcast our message, as newspapers fall over every day, and certainly specialist arts magazines are a thing of the past. We need to package up, we need to do the work for journalists, essentially. So the new skills required, and I'm really in the middle of trying to make a case for a completely new role, which is that of content creator. So I'm going to be looking for somebody who has video skills, editing skills, amazing writing skills. So the idea of that person would be that they're essentially an in-house journalist to provide that content to take place of a media landscape which has been completely decimated. Yeah, it's just unfortunately a reality.
So does this mean that new jobs have been created or existing jobs have been redefined with new job descriptions?
Well, I think as media is disintegrating, we're going to have a lot of journalists out of work. So I think it's going to be a case of perhaps repurposing the role of journalists into content creators of the future. So in your question about creating our own channels, we need people, we need experts to be skilled in making that content.
Mm-hmm. Now, Adelaide Festival is going on this year, but in a new format. Can you share some things with us? Can you reveal your new operating reality?
Yeah, I guess, well, our new operating reality is currently that we're able to operate. So I might take everybody back a little bit. So we were extremely fortunate that we were able to reopen to, I think, a 40-person crowd. I think it was maybe as early as July. So that just happened to coincide with the opening of a brand new theatre that had just been completely redeveloped, called Her Majesty's Theatre, which is just in our market precinct here in Adelaide. So when we were able to go back to live performance, it was with a complete, a very, very restricted audience. So we've pretty rapidly moved on from that. And then we moved to being able to allow 50% audiences. So say a capacity for a theatre might be 1,000, for example. We're able to sell 500 tickets, but we had to space people with a seat between them in like a checkerboard formation. And the ideas around that are quite obvious: limit the numbers, ensure there's nobody really within breathing or.
Are you recording the events for hybrid events?
Pardon?
Are you going to record these events to be hybrid as well?
Yes, well, absolutely. Certainly for our Dream Big Children's Festival, that's, and I did give some examples of how we're already experimenting with hybrid events. And when we get to the section where you'd like me to show some clips, I can show some of those events, if you like, to the audience.
Excellent. Is there any other question from the floor? I would really like people to take the opportunity if there are any other issues. Otherwise, I will give the floor back to Kristen. She will have 20+ minutes to do us a curated narration of events brought by Adelaide Festival Centre.
Great, thanks, Mariana.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to share my screen. If you could just bear with me one moment. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I do need to apologise for my earlier presentation. This particular video, the sound was completely not working. So I'd like to play this now, just as a bit of an example. So this is what this is a part of Bite Sized and Home Delivered, which is the festival I was just talking about, obviously. And this is Libby O'Donovan and Becky Cole responding to that provocation around what do you do alone sitting in your room. So this was produced entirely while the performers were in lockdown, essentially. So if anybody, it gets quite sweary. So I'm just going to warn everybody that it is a little bit sweary. So if you don't like swearing, maybe maybe don't listen. Is that appropriate, Mariana? Should I play it? Or should I move on to something else? Any comments? Would prefer me not to play it. There are a few swears in it. You're on mute, Mariana.
Sorry, I don't see any comments from anyone, so I would.
Okay, all right, I'm going to proceed and please be warned.
Oh, we don't have the audio again. I think you might need to share the audio with us.
Is it working?
No.
Are you getting any sound? Okay.
You will need to share.
Any tips?
Advanced sharing. And then select the computer audio. I don't know if you have the advanced sharing.
Okay. Sorry about this, everybody.
There are some instructions on the chat, if you can read.
Okay, top of the share screen, click share audio on the bottom left when you share screen. Okay, that's not working, sorry.
Can you share the URL on the chat? Claire probably can play it.
Yeah. Maybe I see somebody's put a question here. Okay, sorry, let me just try to do this again.
So when you click share screen,
Yep.
you need to look at the option audio computer.
Share sound, sorry. Okay, I think we're there.
Yeah.
I think we're there. Okay.
Yes, that's it.
Scrolling through our socials, we see so much inspiration.
Our friends achieving all their goals despite the situation.
Zoom meetings and big ideas and business plans galore.
Family time and exercise improving home decor. Whilst watching SBS, we felt such amorous elation. We knew exactly what to do whilst stuck in isolation. We turned up all the romance, changed the sheets and took a shower. We even shaved our armpits, which took about an hour. We exchanged some sexy dialogue to keep us in the mood. We lit a candle, poured some wine, and fed each other food. Now we're just too full to fuck. We eat 7 times an hour. There's not one carbohydrate that we have not yet devoured. We know every single driver who delivers Uber Eats. If stuffing food in faces was a sport, we'd be elite. Savory or sweet, it doesn't matter the cuisine. Now we're just too full to fuck. So fuck you, COVID-19. Just too full to fuck.
So I think everybody gets the theme there. And apologies again if that was a bit sweary for people. Oh, sorry, guys. So can everybody see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Apologies for that. Would you like me to continue? So that was an example from Bite Sliced and Home Delivered. We approached all of our artists, as I said in my talk, to respond to those particular lyrics. And that perhaps surprisingly was the most popular video because it's a little bit fun and it's quite naughty. So yeah, that was really popular with our cabaret audiences who like a bit of sauce, really. So that's just an example of that particular festival. And would you like me to answer this question in chat or keep going through the?
It's up to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So I might just read it out for anybody. Thanks for sharing. I noticed that you have tried to target audience through various social media. Through various social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do you find any difference in the audience that each social media approaches? And have you considered about TikTok? Really great question. Yes, absolutely. There are different audiences for the different platforms. Certainly when I joined Facebook back in, I think about 2007, it was a young person's platform, but the young people have most definitely moved on. And now it's more popular with people my mum's age. So really 60, 70 older women, we tend to find really engage in Facebook quite heavily. Twitter, I think Twitter's really fallen off in popularity from where it used to be. And Twitter's very much being used these days for just sort of news bulletins and perhaps, you know, the excitement of Donald Trump tweets. So it's really not used in the same way in a marketing sense as it used to be used. So very much an immediate sort of news broadcast channel, I suppose. Instagram, definitely a younger audience, a shift towards, you know, selfies and showing really beautiful, well-developed images. So much younger audience than Facebook, and also very, I guess, demanding stylistically. So all of your imagery should be heavily styled and look really beautiful. Have we considered TikTok? Absolutely. Really, for us, it's just a resources question. So where we run a pretty lean team here, I'd love to explore TikTok. But at this stage, we're just kind of keeping up with the channels we've got. So we did actually in our Dream Big Children's program initially have a program built around engaging with TikTok audiences, but I think there was a bit of controversy around TikTok for a while there in terms of access to privacy and things like that. So we did make the decision that we didn't want to really take that any further whilst there were still questions around respecting our audience's privacy. So I guess until that's resolved, it will also stay off the radar. Okay.
Question relating to whether you have identified or you're willing to explore any new revenue streams, particularly from online content.
Yeah, that's a really great question as well, and one certainly that you can imagine our CFO was keen to understand as well. Look, I guess really the reality of that, we did trial and actually that Mountain Goat Mountain program that I referred to, where you could do artistic activities with your children at home, that was a charged event, and I think that was around $12 or something like that. And look, the take up wasn't amazing. I think because we're all really so new to this, we need to really look at innovative ways to make our content monetary. So we need to really, because you can find anything you want on the internet now. So it needs to be that extra special. Audiences need to get something in addition to just an online sort of streaming experience. I guess an example, certainly not done by us, but an example of where that has been particularly successful is for really popular in-demand artists during lockdown. So there was an example of Nick Cave, for example, giving a performance which was live streamed, and you had to pay for that performance. And I think you got like a promotional code to fill in and then get access to that material. But that's Nick Cave, and not most of us have access to that kind of really in-demand artist. So yes, we have looked at ways to try and monetize it, but we're not quite there yet.
The issue, I would imagine, is that as soon as you go online, then you compete with everyone, isn't it? You compete directly with your artists, who are also your suppliers, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Music companies, and the way is, how do you differentiate or build loyalty?
Yep.
So it's a really good question, but tricky to answer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have about 10 minutes to go before we finish. I don't see any more questions. So what do you think we should experience before we go?
I might actually, and I'll paste this URL in the chat as well. So basically, when we shut down, we and I hate the word pivoted because it's so overused now, but I will say we did sort of pivot online just beyond the particular cabaret festival that I spoke about. And we created, I guess, in our pretty antiquated website, we did manage to create a stream of content called The Show Must Go On. So I'll take people through that now, and I'll also refer to some of the digital initiatives that came out of lockdown and continue to exist now. So fingers crossed this is a bit more successful. Where are we? Okay. So I might show this clip because it's really quite stunning, and it did, I guess it really encapsulates how, when we all first went into lockdown, the absolute tragedy of the situation. So, you know, not only could we not provide work for artists and for the front of house staff or ticketing staff, but our theatres were empty. Our beautiful theatres were empty. So we worked with a couple of artists, Slava and Sharon Gregorian, to just film this really, I think, really poignant piece in an empty theatre. So I'll just play the first probably 3 minutes of this, because I think it's really powerful, and it gives a really great message of what we went through, I suppose.
That was really sensational. Thank you, Preston.
Yeah, I'll just stop it there, and I'll definitely share with everybody the link to find this. And perhaps before I go, if I've still got time, Mariana, I just might direct people to what I was talking about before. So this is the page where we house all our online content. So we were pretty quick to get this up and running, and I might just show this trailer, which pretty much sort of sums it up, what we did when we went into shutdown. So and there's lots of really great material here. There's some education material here for our online education offering. There's this Our Stories. We were able to access some really excellent grants to work with our First Nations people to do a series called Our Stories and Our Words. So this is some young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people really telling stories, basically. And there's also some poetry performances as well. And as I may have mentioned before, kind of in the midst of the pandemic, we managed to open a brand new theatre, even though we couldn't really get anybody in it. So we decided to do a virtual tour. So people couldn't actually come to the theatre, but they could do this incredible virtual tour. And it's really quite cute. There's a host that takes people through all the new additions and things like that. So I might just play this little trailer, and then I'll put the link in chat so people can watch it anytime they like. So I think you kind of get the message there. So please, anybody who's interested in seeing what we do, do take a look at that, and I'll just put the URL in here so people can have a look at any time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kirsten, again. I'm sorry if we were in a live audience, there would have been a big applause. People have enjoyed that.
I'm so sorry for the technical problems, guys. It's
They always happen.
Okay.
We are capable
The new reality, right?
Flexible to react. I would like to really thank you for your time and effort, and for representing Adelaide Festival Centre and our festival and events sector. I wish you all the best, and I wish the best for the whole sector in general. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
See you again tomorrow for day 3.
Okay, thanks so much.
Bye.